Hi, everyone. This is Stephanie Hodges, and thank you for being with us today. This is part two of the hottest market with Erin Hudson, and I just want to give her a quick intro. I've known Erin since 2012. We were in Belize together, her family and I, and a large group of people, helping out that area and getting to know each other. We stayed connected through a mutual mentor that we've had named Danny Johnson, and it's just such an honor to know Erin, to work with Erin. Her and Drew are just so completely transparent when it comes to real estate and what they do. And you're going to see that through today's Q&A. They're going to go over questions that you emailed her back from the first webinar. And she's just going to be real with you, honest with you, and kind of just giving you her expertise when it comes to this and what her and Drew have already gone through. So I'm happy to get Erin on the line with you and start this part two of the hottest real estate market right now. So thank you guys, and here's Erin.
Hello, friends. Welcome back. So glad that you've decided to tune in to part two of where the hottest market happens to be. So, okay, we are going to go ahead and go through these questions that you guys sent. We had some great questions, by the way, for this webinar. And we're going to start off because I think there was a little bit of miscommunication in regards to, is it me buying my own property, or is it multiple people coming in with funds and buying a bunch of properties and then all of us getting a nice return? Well, with that being said, it actually is you buying your own property and having your deed to your property. So with that being said, people were asking, what is the average price of these homes? The average price of these homes is $35,000. So, are most of these people buying with cash or getting a loan? That was one of the questions. I will tell you, $35,000 is the cash price because there is something called the Dodd-Frank law. And you are a rule. You're not able to get a loan for a home that has that small of a purchase price simply because the cost to originate the loan is too high for that small loan amount. So, we have individuals that are paying cash for their properties. Now, I will tell you, there are creative ways to do it. We have some people that, and in the past, the reason that we have been able to acquire 26 investment properties is we also got creative. For example, we had our kids' money tied up in a 529 plan, which is an education account. We actually cashed that education account out simply because it had made $2,000 in the past 4 years. So we took that money out. We bought a house, and within 3 months, we had made the same amount of money that it took us 4 years to make. So that is one creative thing that we did. Another creative thing that we did is we had our money tied in a index universal life insurance policy. With that index universal life insurance policy, there is cash that accrues in that type of account. Now, with that money, it was currently at the time making 4%. And the amount it cost to take the money out of there and get a loan against it was 4%. In essence, it was my money. And if I was making 4% and it would cost me 4%, it was, at the end of the day, considered a wash loan. So it's like zero cost. So we took the money out of there and we actually bought a property with that. And it yields us a better return than what we were making in that IUL. So moving on. The next question we had is, who holds the title to the property? So I'm going to just kind of walk you through with what this looks like. So with our homes, first and foremost, there is a process that takes place to vet out these homes to make sure that we are buying the proper homes that are going to yield us the largest returns. So how that goes is basically a home is vetted out, and we have a whole team on the ground that is finding those homes for us. We have our property manager. We have bird dogs, which are people on the ground that are trying to find homes for us. We have real estate agents. We have people that we've made relationships with there. Believe it or not, we had one in particular. It's a furniture store. The gentleman that owns the shop actually is somebody that we bought homes from, and informing him and finding out a little bit about what he likes and what he does, we found out he was the owner of a furniture store. This is where landlords go to get their washers, their dryers, their stoves for their homes. And so in essence, we made friends with him. And after we did the purchasing of our 5 homes with him, we actually, when we were in the process of purchasing those 5 homes, we sent him tickets to what he loves to do, which is go with his family to the Indy 500. And lo and behold, he reached back out to us and said, thanks so much for the tickets to Indy. You certainly didn't have to do that. And our retort back was, you know what? We look forward to doing business with you. It's our pleasure. I'm glad you are excited to go. So it's just little things like that. And then all of a sudden we come to find out that he owns this furniture store. And because we were authentic and real and kind and treated him with respect, in turn, he has sent us multiple sellers or individuals that were looking to sell their homes. So that's another avenue. We've just created these relationships, and that is how we get most of our homes. Now, let me share with you what this process looks like, because it is quite interesting, and I've heard nobody speak of it or heard of it before, and it's quite awesome. So what happens when an individual brings a home to us is we, in turn, reach out to our amazing property managers, Rob and Lori, and we send it to them, and we connect with them and tell them the address, and they actually will go out to that property and take a look at it and see where it's located. A lot of times, Rob knows where the home is because he'll say, oh, I have a property 2 doors down or the next block over or something of that nature. So he is going to vet out and make sure that where that home is 100% marketable. Meaning, sometimes you want to make, or not sometimes, every time you want to make sure that home is marketable. So Rob goes out to the property and he says, oh my goodness, this is great. This home is going to be completely marketable. It's going to be easy to get a tenant in place, and so on and so forth. Sometimes he'll go and say, nope, I don't like this. It's going to be hard to market. It's too far pushed back from the street, or whatever the issue is. He'll say, no, this does not have marketability. At the end of the day, understand this. Let me reverse. He charges us 9% of rent that comes in to manage the properties for all of our investors. Sometimes you'll have companies that charge you 10%, 12%, and they'll charge you that regardless if there's a tenant in place or not. Rob and Lori have agreed to only charge us that 9% only if a tenant is in place. So that's huge already. So let me explain. They don't want the house to be vacant. If it's vacant, they don't make money. So in turn, they want to make sure that we've got our hands on a great property that has marketability. So going back to, that's kind of the process with it. Now, with our team, what is so great is that it goes through a process. So we have had Rob say, yes, this has great marketability. Now, the next step is we connect with our property manager. I mean, not our property manager, I apologize, our property inspector. Our property inspector then goes to the home, and he actually does an inspection from head to toe of the property. Literally, it's a 32-page inspection report that goes through every little area of the house. Now, the reason we do these inspections, obviously, is because we're not expecting them to be the most perfect homes, because they're not. They are not creme brulee homes by any stretch of the imagination. But somebody has to live somewhere, so we want to make sure that they're livable, that the roof is not caving in, that it doesn't have mass amount of foundation issues, and so forth. So he goes in, he does his inspections, and we get a 32-page inspection report. And then from there, we actually create a pro forma, which tells us how the property performs. Meaning it tells us how much rent is coming in, how much are the taxes. We create this ourselves. And once we've created this pro forma, we actually send it out to our investors with maybe 3 homes at a time. And we literally say, hello, friends, here are 3 properties. Please check them out. Let us know if you have any questions. And it is a first come, first serve. Literally 2 weeks ago, we sent out 4 homes to some investors, and within an hour, we had people reaching back around saying, this is my 1, 2, 3 punch list. This is my 1, 2. And for that second person that reached out, their 1, 2 is the same as the first 1, 2. So we had to circle back around with them and say, hey, look, these 2 are already spoken for. And the retort was, are you kidding me? These just went out an hour ago. When I say these houses turn quick, they turn quick. So we want to make sure that we're doing what's in the best interest of our investors and really honor that who responds first. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of hold a little bit more of these, pull these questions here and see if we can answer them for you. What is the process should you decide to pull your money out? So friends, remember, this investment is for the long haul. It's not to turn and sell it and make a profit in 2 years. Although I will tell you, We did have an individual that bought a home and they had it for 8 months and they had a family emergency and they needed some funds right away. So they turned around and they sold their property. They got the same amount of money that they sold it for. That they bought it for. So these homes are not you're not buying them for equity growth. If it happens, fantastic. As we speak, the market is looking like it's going on an uptrend right now. So you very well may get some equity in your home, but that is not what we're buying for, nor do we tell you to plan for that. The next question is, can we do the deed transfer at closing time? So when you buy each of these homes, let me just share with you. I'm going to share with you the process and how it takes place. Now, if you decide that you want to purchase one of the homes, we create a purchase agreement, and then in turn, that purchase agreement goes to the title company. The title company then checks it to make sure it has a clean title and there's not any money that is due on the property and there's not any liens or so forth on the property. Once we get the thumbs up that it's got a clean title, then we close on the property. In the meantime, while we are waiting for the property to close, we introduce you to our property manager by sending an email with all parties CC'd on there, introducing one another. And then in turn, Rob and Lori circle back around and they will send you the property management agreement, introduce themselves as well. And from there, we move forward. Now, once that house, you have a purchase agreement drafted up, we have a punch list for you. Literally, Stephanie is going to send you a punch list and it's going to give you your 1, 2, 3, 4s in order of exactly what to do. We're going to hold your hand every step of the way so you don't ever go, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. We are going to walk you through this process together. I will tell you, after the home closes, there is nothing you need to do except for set it, forget it, and just like our mentor says, milk the cow. Next question is, do we have a website to look into for further information? I will tell you, we do not have a website. It is in the making and has been for the last few weeks now, but we have really grown our business organically. It literally comes from a warm market. It's friends of friends and extensions thereof. So yes, we are in the making of that website. I do think it's absolutely important, but there's been such an influx that we have just been going with our warm market. What kind of capital should we have readily available to purchase our first rental property? Down payment, deposit, so on and so forth. So we always tell our investors, if you're ready to buy in the next couple weeks, awesome. If you think it's going to be another month, 2 months, 3 months, please circle back around when it gets 3 or 4, max of 4 weeks out, because again, we are turning these properties very, very quickly. So it's hard to hold them, so to speak. Now, it is a cash purchase or creative lending. The down payment is not really, if it's going to be 3 weeks before you can purchase that property, yes, we'll have you usually do a $1,000 deposit, but in most cases, our properties are turning within the week, so we don't even have you put a deposit down. It's just we sign the purchase agreement, we move forward, and we take it to close. Let's see. Does using a land trust mean we do not have to put any deposit down? I will tell you, when Toby purchased his properties, he did use a land trust. But other than that, most of our investors are using they're creating an LLC and using their LLC to purchase in. But because we are closing these homes so quickly, a lot of them are just closing them in their own personal name, and then in turn creating an LLC and so forth to put the home in for extra added protection. Now, on top of that, we also use the Anderson firm, and we have a senior advisor that we've been working with that is absolutely incredible. And when I say that, he is super, super busy. He's been working with the company for 15 years. He's very honoring. He's punctual. He gives you all the information you need to know. When people call him, it is very, very difficult to get a hold of him. And sometimes he has appointments booked 3 weeks out. But what he has done for us and our investors is he makes himself available within the first 1 or 2 days for our investors, because the reason being is we have brought him so much business with all of our investors, and there is no gain to be had at all. We don't get any cut or any payback or anything like that. Let me just explain to you why we feel that it is so important. Again, we always want to make sure that you're doing what's in the best interest. We want to make sure we're doing what's in the best interest of you. So for example, when we got started, oh my goodness, were we a disaster. Everything we failed on, we're going to help you to avoid. But basically, we had opened up 5 LLCs, and they were in California, the worst state of all, because it's $800 per LLC that we had. Not only that, we had been with our accountant for 14 years, and they filed each one of our LLCs separately, and I think we paid $2,000 to file each one of those LLCs. And I could not be happier with the Anderson firm for what they have done for us. They've actually restructured us, and now all of our LLCs are in Indiana, where our homes are. Not only that, instead of it being $800, I think it's $100 or something close thereof a year to have that LLC there. And not only that, they are so professional that they said, I'm not sure what happened with your last LLCs, but you should never be filing these separately and paying the fees to have your accountant do that, because I don't want to get too into it, but basically those LLCs just go straight up to your 1040 and you only do one filing. It's just your own personal filing, and those LLCs are flow-throughs. So we don't have to go much into that, but I can explain more at a later time with you. So again, we do have you close in your own personal name and open up that LLC thereafter, and then you'll do a deed transfer. So at the end of closing, the home is yours. The deed is in your name or your LLC name. So it is 100% yours and not anybody else's, not any other investors, just your home. Okay, so the next thing is when I shared with you on the last webinar that I was in Toby's entity structuring and income shifting event that he put on. And when he looked at those homes that I had, he was so overjoyed simply because he had been paying a lot more than $35,000 to buy his properties. And so when he saw what we had to offer, he said, oh my gosh, I can't believe these have a 13% purchase cap rate, which for those of you that don't know, that purchase cap rate is what is my return after all expenses paid? What is my return off the purchase price? And we're right now, we're yielding about anywhere from 11 to a 13%, which is phenomenal. So with that being said, he said, oh my gosh, I definitely want to get in. And he bought the first 6 homes with us. When I walked out into that other room and we had those other, as I stated on the last webinar, we had those other investors in the room. They had said, we were sitting in there in our seats, and Toby said, I have a question for you. How many of you guys buy sight unseen? And I was so terrified to raise my hand. I was embarrassed because we had never been to Indianapolis, yet we'd been doing all of our business there. All of a sudden the room raised their hand, and I think there was one person there that did not raise their hand. All these savvy investors too were buying sight unseen. And let me explain something to you. If you have your property manager find the location and vet it out, and you have the inspector inspect the entire house, what more is it that you're going to be able to do by being out there and looking at that home? At the end of the day, you'd have to pay for your flight, you'd have to pay for your hotel, you'd have to bother the tenant, which the inspector's already done. He's already gone to the door and he's got all the pictures for you. I don't know if it's just the ego or you wanting to say that, and please don't be offended, but there's so much can be done now with social media and with pictures from the inspector, and having our team that are actual specialists vetting out these properties for us. There's no need to even be there. So I felt so much better when all those investors raised their hand, because I was still fairly new at the time getting in the market. So buying sight unseen is very common with savvy investors. Now going back to after Toby decided he wanted to purchase those 6 homes, and I was walking out to go have lunch. And again, as I shared before, we had taps on my shoulders and the investor saying, I don't understand. How is it you make your money off these if they're only $35,000? And I said, you know, I do exactly what Toby had mentioned, which was that $5,000, and that lands you your tenant, your property manager, your home inspection, the insurance broker, our team from Anderson, the senior advisor that we're working with. So we have this team, and that is really what you're paying for, is for us to find that property for you, to do our due diligence, to make sure that you have the right team on top. And so when I said that to the gentleman, they said, oh my goodness, I would pay that in a heartbeat, not a problem. So those that are savvy investors know what the value of that is, which is huge. So with that being said, we are making sure that your property is completely vetted out, and we're getting you on board in a savvy market. So next question, what What percentage do you guys take on your end? So we don't take a percentage of anything. It's really, at the end of the day, your price that you see on that pro forma is the price that it is going to be to purchase that home. That already includes our fees and what we charge, what's in there. The only additional fees that you're going to pay over and beyond that purchase price are the home inspection fee, which is $350, and the closing costs, which are roughly $800. So at the end, like again, you're just going to calculate. If it works for you and you like what you see, go for it. If it doesn't pique your interest, no skin off our back. It's perfectly fine. The property manager, we already said he takes 9%. How is the property chosen and how is it presented to us? So I already shared with you how the property was vetted out. Now, what we do is, if after we get off this webinar, you say, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I like this opportunity. I want to see how we can move forward. What I recommend is going to, again, send an email to edhudsoninvestments@gmail.com. Stephanie will reach back around with you and we'll see if we can connect. And in turn, we'll get some performas over your way of a couple houses, let you take a look at them. And during our conference call that we have, we'll go over that performa. I will tell you, on that performa, there are bullet points that you want to be sure that we address. And whether you invest with us or with somebody else, there are pointers that you want to make sure with every single investment that you get in hits these bullet points and make sure you're getting what it is that one should be getting to ensure that it's a great investment for you. So we're going to present that property to you. With that being said, it will tell you how much rent's coming in on it, how long it's going to take you to pay the home off, which is amazing. I know Hans Johnson has mentioned before, if you can get your money back within 7 years, it's considered a great investment. I will tell you, Hans is a savvy investor that I highly, highly admire. Very, very intelligent young man. And I'll be honest, our homes, most of them are, you get your money back within 6 years. And so that's hot. It's very, very rare that you can find properties that you're going to get your return back that quickly. Next question that we have is, who currently owns the property? So some of the properties Drew and I own ourselves. Some of the properties are properties that we found through our bird dogs and other people that are on the floor. Sometimes we make an exception and we actually do owner financing for some of our colleagues. And we let them buy the house and we're the bank for them. We do all types of structures here. The sky's the limit and there's so many ways to get creative about it. We have bought a couple properties for foreclosure that were foreclosures. Don't get me wrong, please. People hear the word foreclosure and they think, oh, must have been such a good deal. They were not the greatest of deals. And guess what? You live and you learn. It was a big mistake. And here's the reason why. When we went to go close on those two properties, all of a sudden we got the deed back and it says you cannot sell these properties for 90 days, which was mind blowing. We had no idea of that. But again, we're going through all these rough roads to help to bring you straight to the gold, and you get to override and not have to deal with any of these issues that we have gone through. So again, you're not buying the $100,000 home. You're not buying the $50,000 homes we bought. You're buying the $35,000 home. We're helping you to avoid all those pitfalls that we went through, not to mention our $100,000 that we've spent in real estate to learn what we've learned. And I'll be honest with you, it got us nowhere. Maybe a little bit we learned, but it's really just getting your feet wet, getting in the market and going for it. Okay, next question. Can we do an in-person inspection of the property before we close if we desire? Now here's the deal. You can, absolutely, you can go and do an inspection and go see the house if you desire. But the truth of the matter is, it's not wise. It doesn't make sense to fly there, interrupt your tenant that's in place when we can get all of that, like I said previously, from our property inspector and property manager. If that's something that you tend to be emotionally connected, this just might not be for you because none of our investors fly out to see the property. Just for a heads up. And again, it's not right or wrong. It's just a matter of our opinion and how we do it. Next question. Do you have commercial buildings with tenants in place? Well, we just are not that cool. We currently do not have any commercial buildings. That sounds awesome. Maybe in the future, definitely, but not at this moment. Next question, is the intent for this to be a cash deal or a financing involved, or is that a personal decision? I think I kind of already answered that. We basically are doing these cash and there is no financing involved whatsoever. The next question is OPM to invest with. Somebody asked, do you use other people's money to invest with? Well, I will tell you, we've been working with a lot of investors, as again, we've already transacted 108 homes for other investors. And we now have investors coming back around, believe it or not, because we planted a really interesting seed. When we start working with our investors, we like to create a vision for them and just share with all the different opportunities and things that are possibilities for our investors. Again, if we make sure that we're taking care of our investors and not just making it about us, at the end of the day, all parties win and you feel good because you're doing things right. So we plant the seed with our investors and we say, listen, another option for you is not just buying homes from us, but also maybe down the road or someday, you might want to be the bank for other individuals. Meaning, yes, you have these homes and they're yielding you a return and you pay the property manager and maybe you have to pay a repair for a toilet to replaced or whatnot. But also imagine, what if you were a bank and you lent money to another party to buy a house and all of a sudden they were paying you monthly just like you do for a mortgage to the bank. But guess what? There's no property management taken out of it and there is no repairs taken out of it. It's just the same on point every month, the same amount coming back in. It's just something to think about. So we like to try kind of plant the seed on that as well. We do some of that seller financing as well. And the cool part is it's backed by real estate. So in essence, if that borrower ever defaults on you, you take the property. So you try and make it a win-win. So those are some other things that we can do. As a matter of fact, we have, if some of you out there are listening and might just be that person that would like to use OPM, other people's money, I just might have some investors that might be open to doing that with you. As I tell our investors, we know quite a bit when it comes to the people that are coming to the table, and we can give a thumbs up, thumbs down, that type of thing as to whether or not we feel that they're qualified for investors. Obviously, we want to help to make sure they're doing the right thing. So that is an option. And if you're interested, again, shoot us an email. Perhaps maybe we can help you in that arena. Next one, is the intent for this to be a cash deal? I'm sorry, I already answered that one. What service will you provide? Again, ours is that we are providing the team. Our team that we vetted out and took us 2 years to get, and the property manager, again, is key. I can't stress it enough. We've had so many deals go ugly with other investors in other states that they just said their property managers were a joke. The best part is this Rob and Lori that we are working with actually plug in and to the Danny Johnson events. They're completely teachable. They want to increase their skill set. They're always wanting to learn and make themselves and their company better. And let me just share something with you about that. I can't stress this enough. Imagine this. If we have the property manager, I had introduced them to Danny Johnson and they decided that they were going to go, and imagine how good it felt for me to be able to help pour back into their lives. But not only that, let's take it one step further. What about now they know how to better communicate and treat our investors that we have brought, since we brought, now we've brought in tons of investors their way. So not only that, let's even take it one step further than that. Imagine this. They've worked so hard on their skill set and they know their relationships are better. They know how to communicate in a proper manner. They know what makes make people tick. So imagine, not only are they going to take better care of our investor, but think about the long haul. They're going to even take better care of our tenants that we currently have in place, which is going to increase the longevity of that tenant being in place. If they're respected, they're honored, they're appreciated, they're treated with love. So that to me is huge. So I'm telling you, we have got the bar none property managers. There's nobody like them. They're honest. Next question. Next question is, do you find properties for us or sell properties that you own? Sorry, I answered that already. Do we find our own property management team? I believe I screwed up, and on the call yesterday or 2 days ago, I had mentioned that the property management is a secret. It's our property management team. Let me rephrase that. When we have you as an investor on board, you are part of our family and you have access to our team, our property manager, our property inspector, our insurance broker, our construction crew. You have access to that whole entire team. You are part of our family. So yes, you have access completely, and I cannot wait to introduce you to them. They're amazing. What is the name of your company? The name of our company is Hudson Investments, and our tagline is Real Estate Made Easy. Somebody asked, is it Strongbrook? No, it is not Strongbrook. Strongbrook is the company that we initially got started with. They're a fantastic company, but the problem was that you had to pay a large fee up front, and then not only that, you have to buy a home that is greater than $100,000 in order, to work with them. So at the end of the day, it wasn't the $100,000 home that made us the best returns. And it certainly wasn't the $50,000 that made us the best returns. It's the $35,000. So with that being said, we're just able to get better returns with a smaller purchase price. Is this for accredited investors only? No, it's for anyone that wants to, as long as they have working capital or they have a creative way to get their hands on money. Okay, the next question. I love this one. It says, why should I work with you versus a similar company like Deal Zone or Wealth Academy? Friend, I don't know. The thing of it is, I don't know Deal Zone. I don't know Wealth Academy. I'm sure they're great companies. They probably do a phenomenal job as well. So whether you go with us or you go with them, in all honesty, the choice is yours. I just know that we are looking for someone to we're looking for individuals that we can partner with and share with them exactly what it is that we're doing, what works for us, and your choice. It's completely up to you. And so definitely do your research. What are the services that you provide exactly? Again, you have access to our team. That's what we're providing, and we're finding the houses for you. I just wish, in all honesty, that we had what we're offering you. Unfortunately, again, we had to go through the trenches. We had to go through all the crap to get to the gold, and that's what we're taking you right to, so you get to overcome it and don't have to walk through that muck. How do you calculate them for a particular property? So I'm not quite sure where they're going with that one, but how do you calculate? Oh, I'm sorry. The question above that was, what are typical cap rates for these properties? I think I already mentioned. Cap rates, again, that's the number after all expenses. What's the return? And again, we're between 11 and 13%. And then the next question, the follow-up was, how do you calculate them for a particular property? Again, you add up the total amount that's coming in, you subtract all expenses, and you divide it by the purchase price, and that gives you your purchase cap rate. At what point do you provide rental records going back 3 years for tenants in place? I will tell you, friend, we don't go back. There's no rental records that we even supply for any of our investors. I would like to say that the average tenant in place is 1.5 years when I asked Rob and looked at numbers. But I will tell you this, we've got a tenant that's been in place, when we bought the property, it's been there for 8 years now. We have another one that's been there for 4 years. Others that have been there for 2 years, a lot of 2-year tenants. But I would just plan for 1.5 years. Or even just better yet, plan for them rotating every year. Keep in mind, the lease is always just going to be a year to year. And the reason we do that is because we want to make sure that we're in a good position with a tenant that is going to be good to us and to our home and so forth. So we don't want to be tied in a situation that's not good. Maybe perhaps after a year, if they want to sign a 2-year lease, we could certainly do something like that. I'm sure Rob and Lori would be open to that. All right, next question. What are the maintenance expenses and taxes paid? I will tell you, there's something unique with that purchase cap rate and accounting for some things, some of the expenses. There's 6 different areas that we account for, or expenses, I should say, that we account for on each pro forma, which you'll see in the future. We actually account for vacancies, repairs, and cap expenses. Cap expenses are like roof and plumbing. We actually, every single month, are putting $100 roughly aside for every investor. On that pro forma, it sets $100 aside for in the near future if you ever need that money to cover some repairs and maintenance and that type of thing. So with what you're paying out, it's basically, let's just walk through this. Let's just say that you're getting $500 of rent for your property. If, like I stated before, Rob is 9%, that would be $45 in property management fees. So you're talking about $455 that you would receive every single month. And it's your responsibility 2 times a year to pay the property taxes. On average, the property taxes are roughly around $700. And the insurance, get a load out of this. The insurance that we pay on our homes is $20 a month on these properties. Now, I will say that's because we have multiple properties, so it gets cheaper after you have 10. But our average investor is paying about $30 for their property insurance. Next question. May I see an example of what information that you provide? Yes, you'll see that if you decide that you want to move further and you reach out to us via email. We can certainly share that with you. Let's see. I need to understand if rent is late, how late and how frequent for a current tenant. If rent is late, rent is late. The tenants have to pay their rent by the 5th of the month. Now, if they are late, that's not our responsibility. That's why we have great property management set in place. It's their job to collect it. And yes, there probably is. I believe it's a $50 fee if they're late past the 5th of the month. But we don't get the late fee. Rob and Lori get the late fee because they're the ones, hunting down the rent, so to speak. So it's not a problem. Now, with that being said, your rent. Let's just say that your tenant's in place June 1st. You will be paid for June's rent on July 15th. So hopefully that makes sense there. Where do we get the properties? Again, we had shared that we get them from all different arenas, from real estate agents, from the warm market, from relationships that we've created, from wholesalers, all different. Are most of your properties in the same county? We have a couple different counties that we're currently in, right around Indianapolis, right there. And at the end of the day, it's up to Rob and Lori. If they feel that is an emerging market and they're comfortable with that property, then we will move forward. But most of them, again, are in Indianapolis and in Anderson. Do you have, and also, sorry, we are in the middle of vetting out another state right now. It's kind of a hot market, and we're getting ready to move in that direction. We've already got people out there. Our team on the ground we're getting all that put together, and we've actually got some investors that are already in that market that we've gotten them there. So we are opening up that whole market too. Again, it's great to be able to give our investors diversification at the end of the day. Do you have demographics in the area? No, I don't have demographics. A lot of people were, I'm sure are wondering, can you tell me about what the economy looks like, this and that and the other? Here's the deal. I'm not the research specialist. You might want to go do your own research just to make sure it's a good fit for you. I don't want to tell you at the end of the day. I would feel more comfortable with you reaching out and doing those, checking the demographics and that type of thing. All I know is we're just doing what works for us, and we just want to share with you what's working. Do you have multifamily properties, 4 units or less? We do on occasion get multi-units. I will tell you they are hot and they go quick. So if you're somebody that's interested in those multi-units, certainly, again, send an email back to edhudsoninvestments@gmail.com. Let us know that you're interested in the multifamily properties. Next question. Is there a chance of getting upside down in 3 years? Here's the deal, friends. We are selling these without stating any equity growth. So as far as there being upside down, I know somebody had asked, and what happens if the crash of 2008, what if that happens, to us in Indianapolis after we bought? Here's the deal. Again, they aren't creme brulee homes. They're not $100,000 homes. Somebody's always going to have to live someplace. They're $35,000 homes. People need a place to live. Our vacancies are super low simply because people are always needing someplace to live. So with that being said, as a matter of fact, the Indianapolis market is emerging even more. There's some things that are getting ready to take place there that they think is going to increase the economy even more. So which is a great thing. But let me just share with you. Again, at the end of the day, we're sharing with you our personal list of resources. When you partner with us, again, we've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we want to take you by the hand. We want to close the gap and show you how easy it is, and show you the strategies and help you save hundreds of thousands of dollars. And again, I'm just the facilitator. I don't know the ins and outs of everything. I just know merely what's working for us. And I will tell you, if you are interested, and we had said we're looking for 5 people that are serious, that want passive income, that want to create a legacy. We are willing to take you by the hand, show you the steps to do so. And friend, you will be so excited about this. You will not one bit regret it, because it is so much stinking fun. So either way, you decide. The difference between you and me is, guess what? We took action. And you too, friend, can have exactly what we have. I look forward to connecting with you. And again, do you have any questions, or you want to be one of those 5 people that we link arms with and decide to take you on the path? You are going to be blown away with how easy it is, and we can hardly wait for you to get started. Take care. Make it a great day. Let's connect soon.